Only a handful of staff at the Nightingale Health Centre ever read the memo referring to the presence of a paedophile on the Bassendale estate. It vanished under a pile of paperwork in the central office and ended up being filed by one of the clerical workers, who assumed it had done the rounds. For those who did see it, it was an unremarkable document, recording the name and details of a new patient. For the rest, it was irrelevant, since it wouldn't, or shouldn't, affect the way they treated the man. One of the health visitors tried to have the issue raised at a staff meeting, but she was overruled by her supervisor, who had responsibility for setting the agenda. There was a history of hostility between the two women, neither believing the other was up to her job, which may have prejudiced the way the supervisor handled the matter. It was the summer, and everyone wanted to be home in reasonable time. In any case, even if the doctors agreed that it was dangerous and irresponsible to house a paedophile on an estate full of children, there was nothing they could do about it. The decision to move him had been taken by the police. The same health visitor approached Dr. Sophie Morrison in a blatant attempt to have the supervisor's decision overturned. By that time, she was less interested in the paedophile than in scoring points, and Sophie Morrison, being naive and inexperienced in office politics, was easily intimidated. Such, at least, was Fay Baldwin's interpretation of the cheerful young woman who had joined the surgery 2 years before. Fay waited until the end of evening surgery, then gave her signature tap on Sophie's door, a rat-tat-tat of brittle nails that produced identical reactions in all her colleagues. "Time for a chat?" she asked brightly, poking her head into the room. "'Fraid not," said Sophie, launching herself manically at her keyboard and typing "The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog" repetitively into her monitor. "Catching up on some notes and then home. Sorry, Fay. How about tomorrow?" It didn't work. It never did. The dreadful woman eased herself inside anyway and perched her scraggy bottom on the edge of the desk. It was encased, as usual, in an impeccably tailored skirt, and, as usual, there wasn't a dyed hair out of place. Both were outward and visible signs that she considered herself a model of efficiency and professionalism, but they were in inverse proportion to what was going on inside her head. It was catch-22. She was desperate to cling to the only thing that gave her life meaning, her job. Yet her hatred for the people she dealt with, patients and professionals alike, had reached disastrous proportions. Sophie had argued that the kindest course would be to retire her early and set her up with psychiatric help in order to cope with the emptiness of her life. The senior partner, a great deal less sympathetic towards elderly, frustrated virgins whose only talent was for stirring, preferred to let sleeping dogs lie. It was less than 3 months before they'd be shot of her for good, was his view. If she was one of their patients, it might be different, but she had coquettishly eschewed the Nightingale's doctors in favour of the competition on the other side of town. "I couldn't possibly take my clothes off in front of people I know," she'd said. As if anyone cared.